Hey, how you doing? Had a good time? We're having a great time. On our play for this week. Well, we got bad news, but there's also some good news. Bad news: we might not be getting a PlayStation State showcase, but good news: we might be getting a State of Astro Bot. Find out more. The next Call of Duty looks like it is tackling the '90s and last generation. Hmm. Doom: The Dark Ages, the next game in the franchise, looks to have a surprising setting. And then Microsoft demo new technology that could possibly be the backbone of their next gen console. All this and more on season 8, episode 21 of Press X to Start Gamers Digest. What's going on? I'm your host, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka had to be the Press X to Start defender online because people was just going off on our videos. But thanks for the engagement. Really appreciate it. I am joined by,
Sean MF Ross,
what does the MNF stand for?
dumbass. My dumbass is sitting there waiting for DJ to get online. I can hear his voice. We can start the podcast. But no, I'm sitting here with Discord not open. I'm just waiting to hear his voice. Never gonna hear it.
Hey, it happens sometimes. It happens to the best of us. At least it wasn't recorded.
Jesus.
All right. Now you know who we are. Press X to Start Gamers Digest is a video podcasting against the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We are live on YouTube every Sunday, except for when there's holidays. You can get us today.
It's a Sunday somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is a Sunday somewhere.
Mars?
What?
Mars?
Mars don't exist. We are live on YouTube every Sunday-ish when we can make it because life is hard.
But listening to us is easy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Don't forget you can support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the podcast service you are currently tuned in on. It could be YouTube Music. It could be the YouTube podcast. I just made the last one up. Anyways, if you see us, if you listen to us, leave us a review or like this video. Do that stuff. We appreciate it. Don't forget, you can join our conversation by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. Thought it felt a bug on me. Wasn't there. It's a phantom bug. All right. Now you know what to do with all that stuff and how to get closer to us. Let us jump into the gaming news. Number one, rumor. The next PlayStation event could be a state of play, not a showcase. This comes to us from GamerRant by way of. Oh wait, is there not a nope?
I mean,
Eddie's
eh,
Gunner. What happened?
what's the difference? They can make it whatever the hell they want to make it.
That's one of the things where it's like there's such a fuzzy line between what this could be versus like what a state of play can be versus what a showcase is.
Yeah.
Although I think
I
we
don't see
should.
them doing a state of play for an unannounced game.
Yeah, I think they could do it. You have a point. You have a point. All right, well let's talk
They
about
haven't
this and
done
then
that. Go ahead.
yeah. So, credible insider Nate the Hate has suggested that the heavily rumored PlayStation event scheduled for May 2024 could be a state of play and not a full-on showcase. If this is the case, then Sony's next showing might end up being a disappointment for PlayStation fans that are expecting a massive blowout of first-party game or first-party game reveals from many studios under the platform holder. So that's what we're going off of.
I don't see it being a state of play because thus far they have not done any state of plays for unannounced games.
Yeah,
But we'll know by the time people see this video. We'll
exactly.
cover something, but I don't see it being a state of play. Those are normally focused on 1 or 2 games and they've already been announced, and it's for a game that is releasing very soon. And we have nothing like that is
Exactly. So the way that this could morph and twist into a state of play if they kind of blur the lines with like we're going to announce and our next story is I'm just going to bring this in because it just works well.
Mhm.
There's a new Astro Bot game that will be reviewed or will be revealed in weeks. It's claimed that's come to us from VGC by way of give me one Andy Robinson. So yes, we might be getting a new Astro Bot game. It is going to be coming to the PS5, not the PSVR 2. So it's going to be a standard release in that way.
Hopefully, it'll have
And
like uh support for the PSVR, like that game with the dog. The
game
Lemmings
with the
like
dog.
game with the dog. Is it everywhere, everything? Something like that.
Humanity?
There you go. Boom.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah. I mean, that would be nice just to like harken back to when it was on the PSVR and how well it did
Everywhere
on the
is
PSVR.
the dude who left Rockstar and went to go make his own game.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And for the Astrobot game, the only tidbit we have is that there is supposed to be a playable environment that's going to be located in the heart of a desert. So that's about it. But yeah, just to go back to the first thing about this whole state of play versus PlayStation Showcase, they could blur the lines and announce this Astrobot game in the state of play and then have a like dedicated section at the end of like what this Astrobot game is going to be with like a
Yeah.
release date soon. Um
I really don't see that happening because you need lead up for a first party game. They have never done us dirty with a what would you call soon? A month? Like
I would I would think probably a month would be like really soon. Like I like
they
that's
announce
where I'm
things
just like
6 months to a year out. I really don't see a state of play happening.
yeah, I think because right now like um the ongoing rumors has been it's going to be a showcase. Like I saw a thing about it's supposed to happen tomorrow, the
Mm.
28th. Today's the 27th that we're recording this. That seems like when I first thought I was like, "Oh, that'd be crazy." But like thinking about it, it's like would PlayStation drop a showcase the day after a holiday like without any kind of
Mm-mm.
warning like this thing is happening? That seems weird. It's possible we might get an announcement tomorrow
Yeah, and something
with the
is
showcase on Thursday or
something happening
something.
like Friday or something like that.
Or even Friday, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would probably feel better, but then again, I mean, they don't really have to abide by any, like
Any rules?
yeah, so
I
they
mean,
don't
sure you
necessarily
don't, but
have
if you
to
want eyes on it, then you're gonna at least give us an announcement to the announcement. So, if
exactly,
anything, I would
exactly.
say they have 4 days to work with.
Yeah,
Join
yeah,
us tomorrow for a state of play, Blase Blue. We'll see.
yeah, yeah, and I think, just off of memory, I don't believe there's ever been a showcase where they've been like, hey guys, this showcase is happening right now. So I
Uh-uh.
definitely
Uh-uh.
think that, like, if anything, we might get an announcement tomorrow of this event.
They're either gonna give us an announcement tomorrow or Thursday, and then events, if it's still gonna happen in May, it's gonna be the 30th or the 31st.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it is
Put a
confirmed
dollar on
that
it.
we are going to get some kind of event in May. Nate the Hape is confirming that as well as Jeff Grubb. So we will see something this week. Will it be a showcase? Will it be state of plays? Well, state of play, we don't know yet. The hope is it's a showcase because we want to see like some nice, pretty games or some fun looking games. But yeah, that's that. Is there anything else that I wanted to tie onto this? Actually, there's another thing. Number three, Insomniac responds to demand for more Wolverine game news. This also comes to us from GameRant by way of Brody
Yeah, yeah.
Shiri, yeah, Shiri. So essentially, what's happening here is that over Twitter or X, I'm calling it Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter because I'm an old man. Yeah, I'm going with that. Um, so over X, someone had tweeted to Insomniac asking for more Wolverine stuff, and they said that we're gonna come out with information at the right time.
Hmm.
So and they note that the right time isn't now. So this happened last week. It is very much so that if you twist these words, that it could seem like, oh, if the right time's not now, is the right time next week, like during this quote unquote showcase. Um, I
People are
think
reaching. People are starving.
They are exactly. That's what it is, and I think it
Marcus,
gets.
play that clip from Denzel Washington. That brother's starving.
Oh. And I think the thing about Insomniac is that right now, actually no, I'm confusing them with Sucker Punch. Like
Mm,
we might get Ghost of Tsushima like a trailer or something
yeah,
from this quote unquote showcase if it's still a showcase and have that game come out next year. But like I don't know if Astrobot is a strong enough title to be the like
Anchor.
anchor, yeah, anchor of this whatever this thing is going to be. If it's a state of play, then Astrobot makes perfect sense. If it's a showcase, I don't know if Astrobot's going to be strong enough to do that. But I think Wolverine for sure is strong enough. We have tons and tons and tons of leaked footage out there showing off the game in different ways, different levels of development. And it's just like, all right, well, Insomniac, put your foot down and just show us like what it is in the best light. That way, that can be the thing going forward that we look at, that we talk about, that we point to, and not the development stuff because that stuff is old. That stuff is very old at this point. So it's like, all right, well, fingers crossed. This kind of feels like that whole like E3 buildup where you're just like, man, maybe they'll show this game, they'll show that game, they'll show this game, but then you always have to just take a step back and realize like, okay, well, what you want, what you're asking for, just probably isn't feasible right now due to development constraints, time constraints, marketing constraints, money. Like, so it's just like, all right, well, I just hope that we will get to see Wolverine in the best light soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when the time is right. Yeah. Are you excited for the Wolverine game?
Um, I mean, there's not enough to get excited about yet, but I mean,
Hmm.
when it comes, like they said, when we get more info, we get more info.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, no
Yeah.
need to
I
get
think
no need to get excited now, and we have nothing.
exactly. Exactly. I think I'm kind of the same way where it's just like, I am I know Insomniac is going to make a great game. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a very game, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And, Wolverine, the only kind of weird part about it is that Wolverine is so violent. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
how does Insomniac covers that with, their current pedigree of games? Like,
I
are
mean,
they
wasn't
able to make
Infamous kind of violent?
it
The originals,
it still had that like comic book like silliness to it, if that makes sense.
I
Where it's like,
guess.
yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at Infamous. They had a expansion called Festival of Blood. I don't know
hmm,
how.
that was the vampire stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, but even that was not like crazy, not crazy violent, but it wasn't like gory or anything. It was just
Was
like I
Infamous
think
rated T or M?
T
Oh,
T, yeah, because I think they covered a lot of stuff with like electricity effects and so on and so forth. But yeah, we'll see with this. The hope is that we get a cool showing of Wolverine. You got something, Evan?
nah, I was gonna say they can make an M game. They can make the jump. Look at Naughty Dog. They went from making Crash to Uncharted to Last of Us. I mean, it can happen.
That's true.
It can happen.
That you know what? That's true, but I don't know. It gets weird because I don't know if I want a like M
I'm
rated
not
game
saying they
from
gotta go
Insomniac, like crazy M.
cussing and all that. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
like,
they
I
go like
hate that
lowercase M.
Wolverine literally has knives
Yeah,
and he's just
exactly.
doing
Yeah, yeah,
glancing blows in cartoons and stuff. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. And then also to be clear, because I've seen the leak footage, like the actual game does look quite violent in terms of Wolverine stabbing, his healing factor, and all that stuff. Like that stuff is present in the game and it's going to be shown. There's going to be blood. Yes, I know. I know. So yeah. Um yeah, so we'll see what happens this week for this whole slate of games, this whole slate of
Yeah.
state of play, maybe not state of play showcase, Astrobot, Wolverine, Ghost of Tsushima 2, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's my hopes, though. Number 4, Call of Duty 6. Oh, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has been confirmed by Activision. This comes to us from IGN. Oh wait, there it is. By way of Ryan Dinsdale. There's not too much to be said of this other than that this Call of Duty game is supposed to be a dark new chapter in the Black
Yeah.
Ops franchise. Okay. So
I mean, how much darker?
so we just gonna forget about No Russian? Like what?
Yeah,
Like
all of them are. Oh no, okay, never mind. I remember the rumor. Somebody said it was going to be set around 9/11, but that didn't happen
9/11?
during the Cold War era. So I
No.
don't know how much more darker they're going to get unless you're committing a terrorist act or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like I really and truly, I had that thought. Was like, well, what if they, because in No Russian there was a whole thing of, so if you, for those who don't know, who aren't at the age of playing the old Call of Duty games when they came out, No Russian was a controversial like first level in, I forget which Call of
it
Duty.
wasn't the first level, but I think it was Modern Warfare 2 or something. Didn't
Okay,
we
yeah,
just
you're right.
redo it though?
It wasn't. It wasn't the first
Oh,
one,
Modern
right?
Warfare
But
3.
is it three?
It was in Modern Warfare 3.
Okay. So this stage called No Russian takes place as you play as one of the characters. You're kind of under, not kind of, you are undercover.
No, no, no.
And
I'm sorry. It was Modern Warfare 2. But go ahead. It was
oh, it's
in
two. Okay.
the original and then the remastered, but of course, they redid the story with all the new Modern Warfares. But continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this stage, or in this whole thing, you essentially, the plan for that terrorist group is to shoot up an airport. And
You're a
you are
participant.
participating in this whole thing. You don't have to fire a single bullet for the stage to, for the whole like story to play out, to like hit the next
You can just
checkpoint, all that
follow them
stuff.
and watch them shoot up the place.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they know that you're a secret agent infiltrating their terrorist uh,
Yeah.
cell,
Sector,
and
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and they basically prop it on the U.S. as committing this terroristic act in the airport.
Right. Right.
Gotcha.
And like at the time, that was crazy controversial, and that made headlines and so on and so forth. So for the rumors about this Black Ops game to be tackling 9/11 doesn't seem too far fetched. It's a thing that Black Ops, they just kind of, well, actually no, because that first one wasn't Black Ops. It was just Modern Call of
Modern
Duty.
Warfare. But I mean, still, Call of Duty franchise, they
Yeah,
try to
Call of
do
Duty. Yeah,
things to grab headlines and
exactly.
shock and awe you. Because I mean, the first time with the first Modern Warfare, the main character dies because of nuclear fallout.
The
So I mean,
new,
like
yeah,
they've
yeah,
been doing things to get you, and at this point, it's just like it's just Call of Duty.
yeah. That's the thing. Like the the worst part about it is that like normal everyday life has just become so just
Yeah,
such a roller coaster where it's just like, yeah, that's not even that impactful. Like you gonna cover 9/11? All right, cool, sure. What about January 6th? You gonna cover that too? So
that would
it's
be an
just like,
interesting.
all right, man. But yeah, so they released a new teaser for Black Ops 6 that I'm just going
Mhm.
to go ahead and just play. Um, as us who grew up on the 90s, it starts with Chia Pets, and it is,
I don't know what that is, sir.
you don't know what Chia Pets are?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Chia.
I'm joking.
Oh, I was like, Sean, wait, what?
I never was able to get one,
Yeah, I never
unfortunately.
got one either. Yeah, no. I can't keep plants alive, and that's considered a plant. But so essentially this whole teaser is sort of acting like you are flipping through a normal like 4x3 old style television, and you're going through different channels, and it's splicing in like war imagery, and then it also has this dark undertones of this voice talking to you, and it's all supposed to get you to like think that like, okay, well, they're obviously lying to us. And I think I forget the actual tagline with the first
Open your eyes.
um no, it's like they lie or something.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So it's all going into this whole like don't believe the media, like, and I think that's a really, really cool kind of um that's a cool kind of marketing
Oh,
tactic
the
that
truth lies. That's what you're
there it
referring
is.
to.
That's what it is. It's a cool marketing tactic, but
Hmm.
it feels very not we don't need that right now. Like we are in an election year with Trump actually doing this stuff, and it's like we really don't need this kind of like marketing for this Call of Duty game. That is just going to be
Yeah.
like run and gun, shoot this person, complete checkpoint. Like people just going to play multiplayer. So it's just like, all right, guys, all right, cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, in terms of Black Ops 6, I I go back to the original thing of Activision finally announcing that this is an official thing. This marketing is kind of dumb in that like people guessed that it was Black Ops 6 from the very start when they showed that it was the redacted direct after the Xbox game showcase, and it's like you're not fooling anybody. So
Yeah.
it's just weird to me that they took this long to announce the game is actually Black Ops 6. But again, Activision's a giant beast of a company that they're just following their own marketing deadlines and so on and so forth. So they don't really care. At the end of the day, they don't care. Um, are you interested in Black Ops
I mean,
6?
I'm always interested in
Yeah.
seeing like where Call of Duty is going. They release some phenomenal trailers every
Hmm.
year,
Hmm.
and it gets you excited about it until I don't know, just
Until you eventually get tired of it. Like that's
yeah,
yeah, that's what it is. Like you get the game, you play a single player, you play the multiplayer, and you just keep doing that until a new game comes, or you just fall out of that cycle.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like generally Black Ops aren't really my bag just because I'm not a big fan of how Treyarch run their games. And it's a really small like gameplay details that just like stick with me that I'm just like, "Ah, I don't really like this."
yeah,
But I'm I am waiting to see what this actually looks like because this is going to be different in that it's going to be built in the Call of Duty engine thing that they have going on.
yeah,
We don't know exactly like Treyarch actually might still just be using the same engine as Modern Warfare this at this point. So everything might just I might not even have issues with those things. From what we know of this, in terms of the modes, it's going to be normal Call of Duty stuff. The zombie is supposed to be round-based zombies. It's not going to be the open world zombies that was in Modern Warfare 3, or I guess new Modern Warfare 3, whatever you want to call it. Which I really like that like open world mode. I think that was really really cool. The round-based zombie stuff, I'm not that big of a fan of anymore, just because
yeah.
I
I,
think the
I
open
don't
world.
think I even touched the single player in the new Modern Warfare 3 or whatever.
Nah, yeah, I don't think you did because I remember because there was a whole controversy about it being short and then like people giving it like a low score or whatever, and you're just like, I'm just gonna play multiplayer. But
Yeah,
yeah, like yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how this. We're gonna see this game really soon at the after the Xbox Game Showcase. They're gonna have their own direct to, I guess, give us more information about this game. So yes, that is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Finally confirmed because we all
mm,
knew what it was. Number 5. The next Doom is called Doom: The Dark Ages with a medieval feel, and it's coming to Xbox. I forgot one thing
mm.
about Black Ops. Black Ops 6 has been confirmed to be coming to last gen consoles.
Whack.
Yeah. I mean, it's money. They got to make the money. And at this point, it is very, very transparent that Activision's like, if this doesn't make enough money, then we're not going to be able to keep these giant engines running to produce this one game. So it's going to come to last gen. Will it come to last gen the next game? Probably not. I think at that point, it'll be far enough removed where they could probably just be okay with releasing it on the current gen at that time.
Maybe not, but I mean, maybe they should keep this service separate or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
We'll see
All
what
right.
happens.
Now, number 5. The next Doom is called Doom: The Dark Ages with a medieval feel, and it's coming to Xbox, Windows, and PlayStation. Get used to this, guys, because this is going to be a thing that's going to be happening a lot. So this comes to us from Windows Central by way of Jez Corden. So this is a new Doom game. This was actually sort of revealed during the FTC trial stuff that was happening between Xbox and Activision, Blizzard, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know, Doom is made by id Software. id Software was owned by ZeniMax, who was the parent umbrella corporation for Bethesda Softworks and all those stuff. So yes, now you know. In terms of this game, I'm reading off of the article. We can collaborate. Yeah, so basically, Insider Gaming and Nate the Hates reports that Doom: The Dark Ages, like they've confirmed that that's going to be a thing that's happening. It's going to appear at the Xbox Games Showcase. So in about 2 weeks, we'll see even more of this. The working title was Doom Year Zero. I think I heard about that last week. I don't think I talked about that on the podcast or not,
No.
but they just actually confirmed it with the actual name, which is cool. Here's a little bit of a tidbit of what we could see for this game. So, Doom game director Hugo Martin has remarked on previous streams that he desires to slow Doom down a bit to make it feel like you're a hulking monster truck rather than a deadly race car. It would fit the theme of Doom heading to the past before the Doomslayer acquired many of his modern powers and weapons. Although the Night Sentinels of Argent Denure, I don't know what that means. I'm not really a Doom person, so none of this stuff really makes any
Yeah.
sense to me. Are you a Doom person, Sean?
I mean, I played the
Yeah.
original, never
Okay.
beat it. Then I played the
Yeah.
remake, I beat that. Then Doom
Oh.
Eternal. They wanted you to make a Bethesda account to play it, even a single player, and I was just like, I don't love it that much. Like
Right? No thanks.
the same backlash. Like I understand why people didn't want to make a PSN account to play
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Helldivers. Like, come on, man.
Okay.
So I get it.
Well, yeah, makes sense. So yeah, these Night Sentinels of Argent Denure
Hmm.
still had access to guns and things of this nature, albeit with a traditional nightly twist. But perhaps the setting will be before Doomslayer even encountered the Night Sentinels. So cool. If you're a Doom person, you know what that stuff means. Comment down below. Let us know because I am pretty lost with those words that were strung together that I just read off. But could be cool. I think the interesting part is that this is going to be a multi-platform game.
Hmm.
This is in line with Microsoft slash Xbox, their whole back and forth about these games need to sell. Game Pass is not necessarily
You know,
doing it.
they gotta sell most of their shit on PlayStation. And I think about it. I mean, yeah, you could bring it to Switch, but I mean, eh.
Yeah, no,
What is that?
it
What is that gonna have? PS4 level, Xbox One level performance? Like,
exactly. Like they have to target the PlayStation audience because the Xbox and PlayStation audience are so similar. So it just makes sense to release their first person demon shooter kind of game to the PlayStation audience versus Nintendo audience versus like the Nintendo audience may buy into it, but
mm,
they're more likely to get hits
you're
from
not you're not buying a Nintendo Switch to play Microsoft
exactly.
and Sony
Exactly.
style games. You're buying it to play those indie, lighter, whatever. I don't know. We'll
Yep.
see.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right though. Like that's yeah. So yeah, yeah, I think this Xbox Game Showcase is going to be really interesting in them creating reasons for people to essentially continue to buy into Game Pass. I think Game Pass is, as they say, the best deal in gaming, kind of, sort of. But it's like, well, if all of my games I've purchased through my time with the PS4 and 5 or on the PlayStation console, then I think I will just buy the game for $70 versus switching over the Game Pass and just losing all of my history, all of my saves, and all of my little trophies for this new console just to get a game. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know. We'll see. Number 6, Neil Druckmann. What? Before we talk about Neil Druckmann and his claims about being misquoted by Sony, hey, you, listener, viewer, how you doing? Having a good time? Do us a solid. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, can you please leave us a review? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, wherever you're listening, just leave us a review. Also, let us know that you left the review, because I think that part is not as important as leaving a review, but it is also important. So thank you. And again, if you want to join our conversation, you can join our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. Cool. All right, let's jump back into this whole Neil Druckmann thing. So number 6, Neil Druckmann claims that he was misquoted by Sony over redefined gaming comment. This comes to us from VGC by way of Andy Robinson. So this is an interesting thing that happened pretty much late last week. Sony had put out this interview with Naughty Dog designer Neil Druckmann on their website, which he was quoted saying that his next title could redefine mainstream perception of gaming. A lot of people took that and was just like, oh, of course, here we go. This guy is trying to just do all this stuff and just trying to turn so many heads into, into the eye line of video games and so on and so forth, instead of just making fun games, making good games, like just focusing on the games and not worrying about the perception of gaming with those audiences. Turns out Druckmann took to social media on Friday to claim that he never made such comments and published what he claimed to be his unredacted words in full, suggesting that Sony's version was heavily edited to point where context was lost. This is actually interesting to see that, like, Sony literally took this man's words and just like, no, we're going to make it sound like this. And I'm pretty sure they do this often, but it's just so interesting to see how much of a change they made his words have versus his original intent. So the post suggests that Sony removed a line in which the game designer stated that he doesn't believe games need to be movies or need to be TV shows. And that's pretty much it. And I think that phrase or that those combination of words has so much impact over like redefining mainstream perception of gaming because if you don't know Neil Druckmann, they created The Last of Us, they created Uncharted at Naughty Dog. If you also don't know, there was a live action somewhat adaptation of The Last of Us that came to HBO that did completely very well. It brought a lot of new people into playing Last of Us, playing games, did all that stuff. And people kind of took the words of redefining mainstream perception in gaming and to, paste that with the whole Last of Us show to think that, oh, he's not really caring about making good or fun games. He just wants to create these like essentially HBO movies in video game form. And Neil's like, no, I actually don't think that games need to be movies or need to be TV shows. Like it's annoying how bad Sony is at times with like stuff like this. It's just like they just completely don't get the context of PlayStation, the one branch of their company that's literally keeping them afloat. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Like, come on now. What's your thoughts on this?
They're just rushing to have some good news out, man, and Everybody in the industry needs some type of good news with all the bullshit going on over the past year.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
Yeah, yeah. So it's just this is just a ding on Sony specifically, and then also to note the other ding before this is Sony pushing Helldivers 2 to have the PlayStation login be mandatory for everyone who's playing that game. When the game launched, it was supposed to happen. It didn't happen because there was a bug, so they just ignored that feature and let anyone who wanted to play the game.
yeah,
But then months later, Sony was like, "No, no, no. We need those people to be have PlayStation accounts." And that just set a whole, I don't know, garbage truck on fire of just like people just raging against this decision that probably shouldn't have happened. And would you know, Sony took a step back and they didn't do the decision because it was a bad idea to begin with. So yeah, it's just Sony is just not really making the best choices. You know what?
yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how this article is looking on your side, but for me, I'm getting a whole game of X Viant played in front of me as I'm trying to talk about Sony and their bad decisions, and it's very, very distracting. This person not that great either. So it's just like
I mean, the game is not that great either. So
You're right. Actually, we're gonna have more on that game later on. But next up, number 7. New Helldivers 2 studio CEO wants to avoid the poison currently destroying the games industry. Publicly traded companies and endless growth. This comes to us from Games Radar by way of Her and Crier. I nailed that one. So, Shames Georgian isn't interested in those shenanigans. So if you don't know, actually, no, this is the first sentence, we'll take care of it. Helldivers 2 new and outgoing CEOs both want to avoid Arrowhead's becoming a publicly traded company, which is currently destroying the developers worldwide. Very true. Absolutely true. So the new CEO, Shames Georgie, no, Georgini, Georgini, a
hmm
12-year industry veteran who's previously headed up publishers Paradox Interactive and Hooded Horse, essentially came out to say that we pride ourselves on being an independent studio. No, that's the old CEO. Oh wait, no, here it is. The goal of the studio is to make really great co-op games. We really want to turn Arrowhead into a flagship studio. There was another quote that was pulled out from it was pulled actually into a different article that said that like they envision themselves being like the next Blizzard or the next From Software in terms of well, more From Software in terms of being an independent studio that's like a flagship studio that like creates great games that when you see the Arrowhead logo, you know like, oh, you're about to get something of quality,
yeah,
which, you know, they can do it. They just have to be focused on the games they're making. They have to be focused on the content they're putting out. And I think so far, in terms of the realm of the co-op shooters, they're definitely on track of being that, like for sure. Like Helldivers 2 is a great game. People are playing it. Although the Steam concurrent numbers are dropping. I think it dropped by like 62% or something. So it's doing the thing of mellowing out to like the diehards essentially still playing that game. It'll probably spike when they get new content because that's just how live service games work now, essentially.
yeah.
So yeah. But this also comes from Sham, but that doesn't mean we have to be a 500-person studio or 500-person company. The new Arrowhead CEO continues. In fact, a 500-person company is quite painful in a lot of ways. We will see growth, but growth as a means. No, we will see growth, but growth as a means to an end, not as an end itself. We don't have plans to go public. None of those shenanigans. Measured growth that allows us to make amazing games and to be a good place to work. That's that's a awesome comment. Like, that's an awesome mindset for a CEO to have with a studio like Arrowhead.
Yeah.
So I'm wishing them all the best, but the problem with stuff like this, he's a CEO, just like Phil Spencer's a CEO. When stuff goes bad, they got to be a CEO and make CEO decisions that won't look favorable to the general public that they're just talking to. So it's just like, all right, yeah,
He's a Phil Spencer until he has to be a Phil Spencer, basically.
exactly, exactly, yeah. I do appreciate that he is being forefront with like his vision of Arrowhead, and his vision of Arrowhead pretty much aligning with the previous CEO's vision of Arrowhead. Um, so I think that's cool. I'm wishing them all the best. I really like that game. I think the game is really cool. It still feels like probably the best multiplayer game of this year in terms
Mm-hmm.
of how well it did, how strong it was as a game, the just the ravenous fan base, like how well they treated the fan base even when stuff was not great at times. So yeah. Um we'll see. Number 8. Former Square Enix exec on why Final Fantasy sales don't meet expectations and chances of recouping insane AAA budgets. This comes to us from Game World Absorb. What?
Yeah, that one.
Observers. Yeah, there you go. All right. This comes to us from that's a name. Uh Evgeny. That last name. Obedkov? Obedkov? Sure. Sure. If I butchered your name, I apologize. Names are difficult.
Just
So
put you back on the street, DJ. Anyway, go ahead.
so this whole thing is essentially taken from Jacob Novik,
Mm-hmm.
who was a previous CEO for Square Enix. And he
Executive.
starts by
Yeah, go ahead.
good.
Just an executive, not the CEO.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. So he's basically just commenting on the misunderstanding that has been repeated over nearly a decade and a half that Square Enix sets arbitrary high sales requirements, then gets upset when its arbitrary high sales requirements fail to be met. And that's the thing that we have said over and over, just from the outside watching Square Enix make games, sell games. We think those games do well, and Square Enix like, no, that actually didn't hit our sales requirements. So we're either going to have to stop making this game, focus on our bigger games like Final Fantasy, or I don't know, shut down the studio, whatever. Um, so yeah, so Novak pretty much goes into detail saying that Novak noted that if a game costs $100 million to make over 5 years, it has to beat the company. It has to beat what the company could have returned investing a similar amount in the stock market over the same period. Yeah, the stock market. The stock market. Yeah.
Gambling.
So, say what?
Gambling. Why not just stop making games then, Square Enix? Just sell off your properties and go invest the money in the stock market and like what?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is a quote. Um, for the 5 years prior to February 2024, the stock market averaged a rate of return of 14.5%. Investing that $100 million in the stock market would have net you a return of $201 million. So this is our return on investment baseline. So they are basically looking at how much it costs to make a video game and comparing that with what if they were to take that money and put it in the stock market, and how much money that money makes in the stock market is what they need to hit and go over. And that is ridiculous.
Final
Like,
Fantasy VII Rebirth did not need 100 something mini games. Like they don't have to take this long, and they don't have to be. If you're gonna try to keep on doing cutting edge graphical fidelity for each game, then it's gonna cost more and more money each time you do it because you're
yes.
breaking new
And
ground.
And that is the argument about AAA games being unsustainable. It's because right now, like the current gaming market exists at this point pretty mostly digital, where you don't the AAA publishers don't really have the brick and
Mm.
mortar stores that could limit the amount of games that are on the shelves, right? Like when you go to a GameStop, you have X amount of set of shelves
Yeah.
that will have X amount of games. That is infinitely more limiting than going online and finding a game and downloading a game online. So
I'd say
because
you
of that,
can't even compare the last 5 years in terms of stock market and game developing when they
yeah.
had a lot of them move to go work from home.
Hmm.
That's a big cost as far as getting everybody equipment to take home and getting the IT department, getting everybody set up to work remotely and keep your stuff secure. Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of money invested to do that, and you can't. I don't know. These past
Yeah.
5 years have just after
Yeah. That's the thing too.
everything.
Like it's hard to even compare the stock market the last 5 years because just the industry alone, the game industry alone, had such a giant boom in terms of money being flowed
Mm.
into it that like the numbers are all screwed up. Like the whole thing is just kind of screwed up
Yeah,
right now just because of
if
how well it's
Rebirth had
doing.
came out a year or two earlier, I'm sure it would have done better.
Yeah. So besides production budgets, there's also marketing costs, platform fees, and other factors that such
Mm.
as discounts to take into account. Uh I think I was going to say something before jumping to this. I completely forgot what I was going to say. If it comes back, I'll bring it up. So this is a quote. Assume marketing expense at $50 million and assume that you're not going to get $49 after 30 no wait. Assume that you're not going to get $49 after 30% platform fees, but rather an
Mhm.
average closer to $40. Oh, so he's saying that if the game costs $50,
Yeah.
so you're gonna get around $40 given discounts, returns, and other aspects. Novik noted. Now let's say that the first month you sold 3 million copies with $40 net received. We will ignore the recoup. You need to surpass $254 million to make expectations. That's $100 million plus $101 million in the ROI baseline plus $50 million in marketing. That is insane.
Mm.
That is so insane. So he basically used these numbers because with 3 million copies of Final Fantasy 16 sold, the
Mhm.
latest figure disclosed by Square Enix, the company would have only made about $120 million, according to these rough estimates. In reality, a budget of AAA games like that or like this are likely higher than $100 million. So it's not that Square Enix expectations are unrealistic. These titles just don't sell well enough for the amount of money that goes into their production and marketing. So the problem with that's I remember what I wanted to say before, and it kind of links up with this. The problem that these AAA studios are having is that the games, because the competition for video games is pretty much an even playing field in terms of you go to a digital storefront, you can just search a game, download a game. The way that these AAA studios have figured to attract gamers is by having these games that have higher production costs, like higher visual fidelity. Like Hellblade 2, like is probably like one of the best looking games of this year, if not of our generation right now. But it's like that they're doing those kind of tactics to attract new and returning customers. And to do that costs a lot of money, which puts them in the hole to have to make a whole ton of money. And it's just like a vicious cycle that they don't understand or haven't figured out how to break out of. But
Yep.
then you have games like they talk about like Fortnite, that is those, you know, daily returning games that you just go to and you play and you play, you play. You go do some stuff, you come back, you play, you play, you play. And those gamers aren't necessarily turning to these giant like AAA games because they're like, well, I'm not going to spend the money on that. I'll just play Fortnite and be fine. Which I I feel is kind of weird because I think I feel it's weird because I feel like at no point in our gaming history
Yeah.
have single player games really been like super successful. They've done very well, but like
They're looking for gangbuster numbers like Grand Theft Auto within the first week or so, and
I forgot about
y-
Grand Theft Auto. You are
you
totally
just
right.
you have to be something
Number one.
spectacular, and everybody
Yeah.
thinks they have. But they keep on looking at this game and that game and say, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, that's good. Throw that in our game," and it don't work like that.
Yeah. Yes. You're totally right about that. Like that is the other side to this of them chasing that high and just not
Do your
working
own
on the games they
thing
have.
and just make it good.
Yeah.
Even if you start off as a copycat, look at Saints Row started off as a GTA clone, and then they turned into their own thing until they rebooted it and had all that
Yeah.
DEI in it. So no, um,
And yeah, you can be a copycat by just like changing the C's to K's like Power World did and still do well. So
hmm,
it's there, but at the same time, like you it don't matter what you say, the game that you make has to be a good game. Like
yeah.
that is the baseline for this industry. And certain companies just don't see it. They just miss it completely. Right. That's Square Enix just in a pinch. And also to note that like that's not a Square Enix like individual problem. That's the problem with the industry. That is a
Yeah.
problem with Xbox. That's a problem with PlayStation, EA, Ubisoft, all of them. It's this whole budget thing is getting out of hand and they don't know how to adjust. And that's why we're getting all these layoffs. That's why we're getting canceled projects. That's why we're getting uh crazy sequels. For example, Assassin's Creed is there's more Assassin's Creed than black people, I think, at this point in America. Like it's crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Number 9. Microsoft demos Baldur's Gate 3 Borderlands running at 30 FPS on new Snapdragon X Elite Windows on ARM platform with auto super resolution support in tow. So all those words I just said, I'm going to make this real quick. Essentially what this whole thing, okay, so this comes to us from Windows Central by way of Jess Corden as well. So essentially what all this is showing the Windows is essentially running on an ARM platform. If you don't know what ARM is essentially it's like x86, which is the like base operating code for a lot of desktop computers like
Mm.
Windows. ARM is a base um, program for mobile platforms, so like your phones. So the idea is that the ARM platform it has more efficiency because it's built to work on phones. So if you can figure out how to run your, we'll say AAA game, for example, Baldur's Gate 3, be able to run your AAA games on an ARM platform, you can upscale that ARM platform and essentially
Yeah.
create a really efficient powerhouse platform that you can run games on.
But they're not
A-
doing that. They're taking the best hardware and throwing 100 million at it and saying this is unsustainable. Versus
All
back in the
right.
day when they had limitations, they had to work around, and they had I don't know.
Yeah,
They
yeah, no, yeah. That is unfortunately like also a thing that's happening. But the whole vision of this is that this ARM platform could be the backbone for Xbox's next gen console. And
yeah.
that is in line with them being like, this will be the biggest technological leap or whatever that we've seen in gaming history or whatever they said with those words. And it's like, the idea would be to what I think would be to able to have this almost like Steam Deck thing that can do 1080 default,
Yeah.
probably 4K, and go from a mobile platform straight to your TV. Whereas I don't think Steam is like a weird resolution. I think it's like 900 something. Then you have the Switch that is not doing 1080p at least.
Yeah.
So if they're able to pull this off, this could be really, really cool. But it's also to note that like this is not easy to do. Like there is potential to failure with this, and the Baldur's Gate thing that they have running is only running at 30 frames per second. So they have a lot of work to get this running to I think where they want it to run if they're going to use this for the next gen Xbox. But they also have time. So yeah, that's that. That's cool. I would check the actual article from Windows Central because they go into like the nitty gritty to the point where I was like, oh, these are just words that I'm reading that I do not understand.
Yeah.
But it looks cool. All right. That is it for the big news. Let us jump through the quick hits. Number 10. XDefiant hits 1 million unique players within 2.5 hours of launch. This comes to us from Insider Gaming by way of Tom Henderson. So, this is overall good news for XDefiant in terms of they have 100 unique players at launch. Although it's not clear, they didn't clarify if it's like they include in the beta testers as well, because I know some companies do that in terms of this like player count number.
Mm-hmm.
But the other number that is actually really, really strong is that after 48 hours of the game being launched, they've had almost 300 or 3 million unique players and around 300,000 concurrent players across all platforms. So, what does that mean for the longevity of this game? Nothing. It just means that a bunch of people played the game
I mean,
when
it's
it
free.
launched to try
I
it out.
mean,
Say again?
it's free. I mean, I saw somebody compare it to like Apex Legends. It
Yeah,
had more players than Apex Legends. Apex Legends had a shadow drop.
exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things where like these numbers are great. These numbers are something you can market around if you are Ubisoft, but at the end of the day, these numbers don't really mean too much if your game has no one playing it by December, and it's just like, well, you had a bunch of people trying the game out. Turns out a bunch of people didn't like the game, and now no one's playing the game. So, it's one of those things where we'll check back on X Defiant in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year to see how it's doing. Hopefully it survives and it's able to weather the storm of people falling out of love. Hopefully, I think the next battle or next season is supposed to be soon or something like that. Um, you know, hopefully it sticks around. I wanted to stick around at least for a bit because I think it would be nice to have another shooter that I don't even know. I was gonna say that it could be competition for Call of Duty, but it's not nowhere near close to being competition for Call of
I'm
Duty.
trying to look to see how many players are playing Hyperscape.
Oh dear,
And
is that even still going?
it don't got no numbers.
Oh
But I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
Is the final still going? Like,
I think the finals are still going. I just hear nothing from that. That's actually a great, yeah.
we'll
But
see
yeah,
with this X Defiant, whatever, man.
yeah. Number 11. Elden Ring director, Jesus. Elden Ring director Hidetaka Miyazaki has a strong will to make an Armor Core 6 follow-up because there is still room for improvement. This comes to us from Games Radar by way of I got this giant ad. Concerin. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. The director thinks that there's still areas to improve on Armor Core 6. As a person who played and loved Armor Core 6, totally agree. I think there is definitely room for growth in that game. I think the Armor Core 6 is not Armor Core's final form, if that makes much sense. But yeah, I'm down for this. I think we will at least get some kind of DLC for this game. An Armored Core 7 would be super cool with me. I'd be down for that.
I forbid it.
Is what do you say?
I forbid it.
Oh, forbid it. Sounds like at least let me get one before you get another of these games.
Mm.
I mean, there. Okay, so just to jump back to the Square thing, there
Mm.
was a article. I think we talked about it or not. They were saying that they want to invest on their big franchises,
Yeah.
and I will tell you, I have heard a lot of other people say like, "What about Parasite Eve? What about Parasite Eve?"
I see a
And
lot of
like,
groundswell about it now. Like I see a lot more people talking about it. I see articles talking about it.
yep,
I see Reddit threads and people are suggesting it. So
that's good. That's good.
what
Like,
we need is a petition to the author, or for the author to pass away. One or the other.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like talks like that is just probably happening. If not now, like it's planned on happening because like at this point, going back to old properties is almost a slam dunk. Like if you do it right, like look at Capcom. Like they done remaked almost all the Resident Evils, and every remake has hit. And it's like they found their like secret sauce or whatever for those games. So if Square can do that, like that could put them in a good place. Yeah, so as for this story, there's not really much else other than that, yeah, there could be a new Armored Core in the next, I don't know, 5 years. They still got to get this Elden Ring DLC out. They still got to do a new Elden Ring 2. I would imagine they're going to do that. And then maybe Armored Core 2 or Armored Core 7, somewhere in there. But yeah, number 12. Before 23 games and 21 million copies sold, the first Yakuza game was flat out rejected by Sega because it wouldn't appeal to women and children. This comes to us from
Uh,
Games Radar by way of Huron Crier. So,
Everything does not have to appeal to everybody.
yes.
Go ahead.
So, yeah. So, just to put some context around it, okay. So, this is an interview with the uh Yakuza series creator, and he was just talking about how his first pitch for Yakuza was flat out rejected, and how he just had to go back and forth with Sega to finally get his pitch to them and for them to accept it. And it is a thing of, as Sean said, like, and this article title of it is that Sega was looking for a more wide appeal game at the time, and the RGG is it RG? No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. Like they were pretty adamant about like, no, this is the game we want. This is our vision for the game. And eventually it got through to Sega and he made Yakuza, and the rest is history. And it's just a thing of like you have to believe in your developers. Like if they have this vision, if the vision is good vision, ride out the vision. Like of
Mm.
course the question is like, how do you know if the vision is good? Do some testing, do some like
I
audience
mean,
testing.
there's no way to tell. The people that you test your thing with just might not like it, and then you release it to the greater public, and boom, you vicious. So
That's a good point too.
you in there like swimwear. So I mean, I don't know. It's okay to have a target demographic and market your stuff directly to them. Like
Yeah,
everything doesn't have to be for everybody.
yeah, that's true. And
Listen.
like it's one of the things where it's like I think the industry is starting to realize that they can focus in on an audience and
Mhm.
make games for those audience. And if the game is strong enough, they'll bring new people into that. Look at like Dark Souls game or FromSoft games. Like those games are not built for everyone, but so many people love those games because they are either attracted, word of mouth, or they see stuff online. It's like, oh, that looks hard, but also looks kind of cool. Let me give that a try. They
Mhm.
try it and they like it. So yeah, you just got to follow your dreams, guys. I think that's the point of that. You know what I mean? All right. Well, that's it for all these news is. All right. Um oh yes, you're right. You're right. Before we end this great episode, we got a game that we both played, Sean and myself, called X Defiance. Like X Defiant. So yes, X Defiant came out last week. I think in the last podcast, Sean and I both said like, yeah, we'll give it a try and we'll report back and let you know how it goes. And here we are. So Sean, what was your thoughts on X Defiant when you played it?
You mean trash defiant? Man, listen. You know what? It's okay. It's a solid game. It just ain't for me. I don't
Yeah.
like the movement. I don't like the lack of feedback. Um, like there's no rumble or recoil or
Hmm.
anything when you're shooting the guns. We've had that in Call of Duty since God, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah. It's very
There's
PC in
yeah,
that there is no like rumble or feedback when you shoot the gun.
like literally you feel nothing. This feels like yeah, like you said. I mean they have mice with rumble in it, but
Yeah.
I don't know how that works as far as your aim. But like this feels like playing on PS1 or something. Like as far as like just no feedback, it's throwing you all the way back there.
Yeah.
There's no laying prone in the game. This feels like a mixture between Overwatch and Call of Duty, and it just feels loose and it does not feel good to me. I would give it a try as free to play, but I can't bang with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am pretty much of the same vein as Sean with this. I think the problem, not even the problem, I think the main dividing point of this game is that if you play and enjoy Call of Duty, you're
Hmm.
probably not going to enjoy this game because just from the movement aspect, it feels slightly different from Call of Duty. It feels a little slower in terms of running, in terms of sliding. That stuff will grate on you unless you just learn how to adjust to it, which could be fine. You could figure that out. You can learn to
Hmm.
enjoy X Defiant, but for us, it was too much of an issue where we're just like, nah, this is just not for us. Like this is not the game that we want to invest our time in, especially when you can just do it in Call of Duty. Like we have that experience, we have that like legacy with that game. So yeah. Um in terms of that, like I think my other issues was the game was the not only shooting the gun felt weird, but how long it took to kill people felt weird versus how long it took for them to kill me.
Hmm.
And I'm not a slouch in these games. I know how to
Well,
shoot these
here's the
guns.
thing. Here's the thing. That may be the cause of the lack of skill-based matchmaking. So you're just a doe just getting into the game, and you got some real killers in there that
That's a
are
good
just
point too.
naturals. So
That
th-
that's a good point too.
that's
And
lack of skill-based matchmaking. This is what people wanted.
exactly. That's yep. You are totally right, Sean. You're totally right about that. And I think the other thing of it is that in Call of Duty, when you start from the beginning, sure you
Mhm.
have like a limited number of guns, but you only have one gun to pick from, or I mean, you have the
Yeah,
different,
one in each class.
yeah, one in each class. But it seems that in X Defiant, those attachments that you get, because you get attachments in this game as
Hmm.
well, they actually improve the gun by like a remarkable standard because it takes so long to level up these guns to get those attachments. So they're actually really meaningful. The problem is that it will skew like the game in a way of like you just can't really deal with a person with a leveled up gun. And it's just like, all right, this doesn't feel good. The one thing that I will say that feels good next to Defiant is the sniping, in that the ADS happens real quick, so it almost feels like an assault rifle, and you just have to hit the person. And the reason why it feels good is because it's usually a one shot kill. Where in this game, you have more health than you would in like a Call of Duty. So it's,
Yeah.
I will say, well, actually, no, Sean, you can actually speak to this better than I can. Do you feel like you have more health in X Defiant versus Apex?
Yes. No, 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 no. Apex, you have more.
You have more health in Apex?
Yeah. It just. I don't know. You can't compare a masterpiece like that to a.
But yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna say. Like it felt like I had I had less health in X Defiant than I did in Apex. And it felt like it felt like I had the same thing of like, I'm shooting
Mm,
this person, I'm hitting this person. Why am I dead going on my next play? Like, what is happening here?
mm,
So it's one of those things where it's just like, none of these things just worked for us. None of these things worked for me specifically. And I don't really see myself jumping back into this game. There was a lot of like server issues that happened the first day. That could be a contributing factor to like some of these things that issues that I had specifically versus
mhm.
issues that we all had. But yeah, I just don't think that X Fine is for me or for us. So if you enjoy the game, that's great. We're not hating on you. More power to you. Hopefully that game lasts a long time so you can enjoy your time with that game. But we won't be on it. So that's it. That's it. We did it. That is the episode. That is another episode. That is this episode of Press Such Start Gamers Digest. We hope you enjoyed this episode and much you enjoy making it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. I don't know why I forgot that. Anywhere you're listening to us, leave a review there. Let us know. You could be at a Arby's, you could be at a Checkers, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, whatever. Just leave a review. Don't tell them who you are. Just leave a review for us. Put our @ sign so they know where to go. I don't know. Usually I say something else, but I don't know what I'm going to say. Oh yeah. Don't forget to
Don't
I'm
forget to
lost.
be you. We love
Yes.
you. Appreciate
Yes.
you.
What Sean said. Keep being you, keep having a good time. Join our Discord. press.com/Discord. I figured it out. That's the one thing I missed. So yeah, take care. Until next time. Keep gaming. Or don't, but probably do, because I think that'd be really cool if you kept gaming. Okay.
We went kind of long.